Tonight is the City of Kingsburg's regular agenda for the City Council for August 6, 2025. We're going to begin tonight with the invocation given by Pastor Faith Escobedo and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd please stand.
Let's pray. Dear God, we just thank you so much for this day. We thank you, God, that we get to gather here together and talk about how to better our city, to better our community. God, we thank you for every council member, our mayor, our police department, our fire department, every single person that's a vital part of this community that keeps it running and going. God, I just pray that you would give each person here wisdom and discernment, that you would be with every single person here as they make decisions, that you would be with the people here as they comment and as they give their thoughts and opinions. We just pray for a spirit of unity to descend upon this place, Lord. We love you and praise you. In your name, amen.
Call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Present. Here.
Here.
Here. First item tonight is approval of tonight's agenda. We'll entertain motions.
I'll motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda is approved. Next, we're going to move on to presentation and informational reports. Tonight's is going to be Public Works Maintenance Worker 3, David Green. If we could please have, who's going to be doing the presentation for that? Yeah, well, why the proclamation too? Are we doing it for this?
You were thinking Dave would do it. No. You want to give a speech? No. Want me to read the proclamation?
Yeah, I'll read the proclamation if you want. I don't know if you want to say a few words before we get
Yeah,
started.
definitely. Dave, welcome. Family, welcome. It's an honor to have you here today. I don't know how many times we try to get a couple of you public works guys to come to the meeting, so I'm glad that you're continuing to set the standard high for the rest of the group here in the future here. So Dave's been a vital member of our department, working the streets over the last couple of years. He's playing a super important role in the streets department. As we kind of transition into a veteran, from a real veteran group into a kind of a mixed group. And so he decided to retire. It was something that was not unexpected, but a little surprising, which was okay for us. But like I said, he definitely left his impact, and said honored to have been able to work with him. So thank you, Dave.
Awesome, thank you. Do you have any council member comments or anything before we read the proclamations?
Yeah, I'd just like to, say thank you for years of service. I know I've only been up here for a few years, but you've been here a lot longer, and I appreciate all of the work that Public Works and that staff does to keep this community looking amazing and a place that we can all be proud of. So thank you for your years of service, and may your retirement be filled with happy, healthy memories with your family. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you, David, for all your years of service for the city of Kingsburg. 25 years is quite a little stretch there. So thank you, and enjoy your retirement. I get to do what you want to do, hopefully. Or go get a part-time job, make more money. Yeah, right.
Thank you for your service. And question, what's the first thing you're going to do?
He's gonna figure out what he's gonna do.
Alarm clock. Thank you for all you've done for our city.
Dave, can you come on up? Come on up. What I'd like to do is I'd like to read the proclamation aloud. Just so everyone kind of knows what we're doing here and kind of highlights your career. But before we do that, I want to say thank you. 25 years of service to a community we all live in, a community we all love. Everything that you guys do makes this town clean and beautiful. And that really is one of the pillars of our community. So we thank you genuinely, all of us, all city staff and all residents that we represent. Thank you very much. All right, so I'm going to read your proclamation if you're ready. Whereas David Green has begun his dedicated service in the city of Kingsburg on August 5th, 2000 as a maintenance worker one. And whereas David's commitment and strong work ethic led to his well-earned promotion to maintenance worker 2 in 2004 and subsequently maintenance worker 3 in 2005. And whereas early in his career, David quickly adapted to the responsibilities of the Parks Department and assumed major duties with his skill, diligence, and professionalism. And whereas David has continuously proven himself to be a reliable and dedicated employee who takes great pride in his work. His leadership in the maintenance of our storm drain system has been essential, ensuring the efficient flow of rain before, during, and after storms. And whereas Dave took great pride in preserving the charm of our downtown, he was responsible for the upkeep of banners, flags, seasonal decorations, and was instrumental each year in assembling the downtown Christmas tree and lighting the Christmas tree at Memorial Park. And whereas throughout his tenure, David has demonstrated exceptional performance, teamwork, and flexibility, including stepping beyond his department and supporting others, and has earned the respect and admiration of his colleagues and community. His signature phrase, "It's time to show out," was a rally call to make Kingsburg look its absolute best. And whereas David's contributions have left a lasting impact on the city's parks and public spaces, and his legacy of quiet dedication and service will long be appreciated. Now, let it be proclaimed that the City of Kingsburg Council, on behalf of the residents of Kingsburg, does hereby express its deepest appreciation to David Green for his 25 years of exemplary service and extends heartfelt congratulations on the occasion of his retirement, with best wishes for his future filled with health, happiness, and well-deserved relaxation. Thank you.
I know I gave him a hard time all the time. We'll say thank you to all you guys. Great one.
David, we appreciate you. We have a proclamation that we're going to give you, a couple small gifts, and if you're up for it, we'd like to grab some pictures with you. Sure. Go on up.
Dave, that's when I put them up, and so we wanted to give them one more time to put up before he left work, so we're like now, so.
Just over. Wrong.
Next, we're going to have public comment. This provides an opportunity for members of the public to address the city council on items of interest to the public within the council's jurisdiction, which are not already on the agenda this evening. It is the policy of the council not to answer these questions impromptu. Speakers should limit their comments to not more than 3 minutes. For items which are not on the agenda this evening, members of the public will be provided an opportunity to address the council as each item is brought up for discussion. Do we have any members from the public that would like to make any comments? Seeing none, we will close public comment and move on to the consent calendar. Items on the consent calendar are considered routine and include a recommendation from staff and shall be acted on in one motion of the council. If a council member requests additional information or would like to pull an item for discussion, that item shall be pulled from the consent calendar and acted upon separately. A motion to approve the consent calendar is deemed to include a motion to waive the full reading of any ordinance or resolution on the consent calendar. Tonight, we have items 1 through 5. Do we have any members of council that would like to pull a consent item? Any members from the public or staff that would like to pull anything from consent? Okay, seeing none, we will entertain motions for consent.
Make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Aye. Consent passes. Thank you. Now we'll move on to our regular calendar, beginning with our July 3rd Independence Day event recap. Staff report by Community Services Director Adam Castaneda. Welcome, Adam.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Thank you for having me tonight. July 3rd, Independence Day recap. Something that just took place not too long ago. In May, the City Council directed staff to solicit nonprofit organizations to assist in providing labor to coordinate the July 3rd celebration for the City of Kingsburg. After this, the Chamber of Commerce indicated that they could no longer coordinate the event due financially and because of labor constraints. City staff and elected officials work closely to secure a partner for this event. Kingsburg Seawolves Recreation Swim Group was selected, and representatives work closely with city staff to organize, market, and host the event. The city provided funding for the fireworks through a third-party vendor that was also kind of handed down from the chamber. $25,500 was essentially the contracted grant amount for the fireworks. City staff and the Seawolves did hold a debriefing meeting July 17th, and members of the Seawolves board are here with us tonight, and they'll kind of come up and give a brief highlight and presentation of the meeting. One of the overall things that I do want to share was the erased amount. $13,347 was collected through gate and parking sales, and that amount was split between the city and Seawolves. The city has will use their portion for next year's event. Like I said, tonight, the Seawolves representatives are here tonight to kind of give you a debrief of the meeting and the overall kind of feel of how the event went. I was there personally. I saw members of council there for the event. So I'm assuming you all kind of have a personal kind of connection of how the event went. Vendors were happy, a lot of positive feedback on social media, and overall turnout was high. Just from experiences in the past and being able to kind of see the crowd on the field and in the stadium, it looked like the numbers were pretty good. And the reflection of the 13,000 seems about average of what I've experienced in the past hosting that event. After I invite the Seawolves board to come up, one thing that we would like to consider, or the finance committee has kind of requested, is that council decide whether or not we're going to continue in supporting this event in 2026. Sooner rather than later, giving all parties sufficient time to plan, fundraise, and market for the event for coming next year. My participation in it this year was a pleasure. I enjoy going back and doing something that I've done in the past. And there are opportunities for us to collect sponsorship. Just takes the time and the know-how to kind of do it. I've reached out to those that I've worked with in the past at the chamber. They have expressed interest in coming back and participating in the sponsorship, knowing that the city is now involved in kind of going forward. So nothing specific as of yet, but I did reach out. Bill Gustafson was one of the ones that I had partnered with in years past, and he's expressed that he will definitely help guide me in that direction if the city seems that it's an appropriate move forward. One thing that I would recommend or suggest is that if the council does decide to do this for 2026, that we do kind of offer it to Seawolves Group first right of refusal, if anything. I think their experience in coordinating it this year, working with city staff, and them actually having the parents and the volunteers to kind of coordinate and make this event a success is kind of crucial. And so if after the Seawolves presentation you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. But after that, I'd like to kind of have that discussion and see if council will move in that direction to guarantee or say, yes, we'll do it again next year. So I'd like to invite Amanda Hofer up and one of her board members to give you kind of a brief breakdown, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. If you could introduce yourself and who you're with for the record so we have it for the minutes.
I'm Amanda Hofer, and I'm representing the Kingsburg Seawolves. I recognize many of you. Good evening. On behalf of Kingsburg Seawolves, I would like to express our communities. Throughout the night, multiple people got interviewed, and I didn't actually hear anybody from Kingsburg. I heard Hanford, Clovis, Fresno, Bakersfield, but I did not actually hear Kingsburg. So I think the draw was pretty good. We received an outpouring of positive feedback, both in person and across social media, reflecting the pride and spirit of our community. I would like to extend a special thanks to Mayor Brandon Purcell, Adam Castaneda, Alex Henderson, Barbara at the Chamber of Commerce, the Kingsburg High School facilities team, Kingsburg PD, Kingsburg Fire Department, and Mid-Valley Disposal for their outstanding support. Their collective efforts played a critical role in the success of this event, and we are truly grateful. We value the opportunity to be part of this longstanding community tradition and look forward to continuing our partnership in years ahead. So speaking of proceeds, this year we employed 28 primarily youth coaches. So the proceeds of this event go to covering the cost of running the club. Workers' comp, everything goes up every year, minimum wage. So we are a nonprofit, so that contributes to the club. Membership fees alone do not cover the cost of each year's expenses. Any questions?
I have a few questions and comments. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend, but I heard it was an amazing event. So thank you to you and the Seawolves for hosting that. Did you, since I didn't attend, did you guys have like banners saying this is a nonprofit for Seawolves and that so people could donate to a nonprofit, or did you just take gate fees?
We took gate fees. We did have a sign on the football practice field. It was just an A-frame that had the QR code. And then our marketing said that the proceeds benefited the Kingsburg Seawolves. Okay,
great. So do you think like long-term, you're obviously interested in doing it. Do you think long-term that you can get it, since it's your first year, you probably learned quite a lot. Do you think that it's financially sustainable? Do you think that you could host that event, pay for the entire event, and make a profit?
Including fireworks.
Including fireworks.
I don't know if we have the support to get the sponsors. Our board obviously is all volunteer. That would be a consideration.
Okay.
That's something I hadn't thought about.
Okay. And then is there anything else that you would add to the event that would make it more appealing for individuals? Have you guys had that had that conversation?
We've had a brief discussion as a board. I think adding some entertainment to bring people in and maybe just kind of get a few extra dollars here and there, promoting donations a little bit more, as well as maybe getting donations somehow from that practice field. We just didn't have the volunteer support this year to kind of man that area. We had intended to, but we just kind of did a suggested donation. So I think we could have done a better job kind of advertising it out there and like letting people know that we need the donations to continue this event in the future.
Okay, well, with all due respect, I think you got it kind of late. Had you had a whole year to plan, you probably could have done even a better job, but you guys did an amazing job with the short notice that you got. And so I'm very appreciative. I think the city is very appreciative of you guys stepping up and helping out and taking on that event. So thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, man, I just want to say thank you guys for taking on such short notice. You know, just thrown in our laps, and then we kind of brainstormed, and I think it was Brandon came with the idea, hey, Brandon and Alex, let's reach out to some nonprofit sports programs here in Kingsburg, and it was during Seawolf season, so I think it worked out, and I know it does take a lot or cost a lot for the coaches. You know, my daughter used to coach Seawolves, and she really enjoyed it, and I know those coaches enjoy it and stuff, but I know that those fees they're kind of high for the kids, but for the parents, but they don't cover everything. So I'm glad you guys can do it, and I hope we can keep the partnership going. You know, you guys can do it every year if you wish to do so. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
By having this money, does it mean that it's in place of like kids didn't have to go do fundraisers? Like how would you have?
So we did a tri-tip dinner fundraiser every year, and what we brought in, right around $7,000 total, was right about what we made the previous year with the tri-tip dinner fundraiser.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stay up here, but do we have anybody from the public that would like to speak on this comment or speak on this item at all? If not, we'll bring it back to. Oh, yeah, come on up.
Make sure.
Introduce yourself, though.
We paid the coaches, right? Go down.
We did.
Okay.
So we did pay the coaches to work that night, but I only had 5 coaches that actually signed up to work that night. Everybody else was volunteer.
Yeah, that was just, my name's Jonathan Mayer. I am the computers is the official board member title that I do. I just want to add that extra context. Some of the army of people that were helping were coaches that were also compensated for that time. And us having the flexibility to fill some of those slots with paid coaches was helpful.
Yes.
Assuming they're your employees, you had to pay them if you made them show up, right?
Yes.
No, not a real choice there. Do we have any other public comments before we bring it back to council? Okay, we'll just bring it up. We have to get through that portion of it. So I have a couple comments for you guys. It was thrown absolutely on your plate last minute. And the fact that you guys were able to raise the amount of money that you did with such short notice, we're thankful for that. I think not everybody's going to see this, but Amanda had even sent an email shortly after the event, kind of going through things that they had self-critiqued to possibly improve next year, which I appreciated. You know, as a partner in this, it made it a lot easier to know that you're self-reflecting, so that it made me feel comfortable with that money. And for me personally, I was against initially having the city use city tax dollars for that, for fireworks, for entertainment. But I got to be honest, going to the event, it changed my mind. It is very much it's a good use of tax dollars because it's such a strong community event. And I will counter what you said a little bit. I saw a ton of people from Kingsburg there. I was actually really surprised. You know, I'm fortunate that I'm one of the people that can see from the street. But there is a lot that can't, and there was a lot that showed up. So I think without this event, it does change a little bit of our celebration that day. So I am supportive of it. I think it should stay as a competitive process. I think that's fair to everyone. I don't know if there's any other groups that are going to be able to produce the kind of labor force that you have, but I do think it is a good use of tax dollar. I think that I was kind of leaning direction against it until I really saw it in person. So I would support us paying for the fireworks again. And as far as the logistics of percentages, sponsorships and things like that, I would prefer to not have that come back to council and have that specifically be directed towards, give the city manager the authority with that, if he's comfortable with that, unless he needs further. But that would be my ask, is that we do continue to pay for it. I think it needs to be evaluated every year, and I want to make the point that the finance committee, and I've sat down with the city manager, we can afford to pay it this year. That's not necessarily always going to be the case. Times are going to get harder, and I do think that we need to evaluate it every single year. But in our current financial situation, we're fortunate. We've saved in the past. This is something that we can afford this year, so I would like to move forward with paying for it. But I want to hear your guys' comments on that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Brandon. You know, it's a great event for Kingsburg. It always has been. And you know, what do we? You said we got 6,000, so it's probably going to go up next year. The fireworks a little bit. We might need to push in 20,000, but with sponsorship in a year's time to prepare for that, I think we can do it. But I like your idea. I think you're right. We need to revisit it every year, you know, and see how things are going with the city and how, you know, sponsorship's going and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I'm all in favor of a city sponsoring it again next year, and hopefully the Seawolves will be partners again.
Yeah, so I agree with both of you. I think one area where I may maybe disagree is originally we opened it up to all the service groups around town, right? And so how many, Alex, actually came to the table and said that we would like to do it, but then how many of those individuals actually had the horsepower to actually pull it off, right? Because there's two different things there. So anybody can say, yeah, we want to do it, but okay, where's your volunteers? And then that may separate the group.
Yeah, I mean, we opened it up to anyone. I mean, I think it made sense, obviously, that it would be some sort of group that could pull together the volunteers. I think we had either 4 or 5 sort of with initial, I'm interested, can we have some more information about this? A couple of those were not Kingsburg, you know, they were not from Kingsburg, they were from outside of Kingsburg. And so after, you know, really after just sort of explaining what we were looking for, the furthest we probably got was, well, we'd be willing to help in certain areas. We don't have enough people to pull off the entire event, right? And obviously with a shorter time frame, but that summarizes the, you know, feedback I received.
So I guess I was originally a proponent of opening it up to all the service clubs, right? And then Seawolves came and they were obviously the best fit given. And so just because of the last minute nature and how well you the Seawolves did with the event, I would be a proponent of letting you guys have it for next year. I think that you've proven, even though I'm like, hey, open it up to everybody originally, but you guys got it last minute. You did really a great job with it. And I think that you deserve or have earned the right to take it forward and even do a better job with it. So I totally agree with what you guys are saying, but I mean, they did such a great job that I would be a proponent of allowing them to have it for the 2026.
I agree. I think that because they took it last minute, it really helped us out in a tough spot. It would be fair for next year to give them that full year to really see what you can make of the event, rather than all of that planning that they put in. And now they know the foundation, you know, instead of pulling that from them, I think at least next year, you know, giving that full year to plan. As far as paying for the fireworks, I also agree. I do have a little bit of a concern with that. I think that we should have an amount that we're going to stick to, because fireworks do go up, and maybe even considering just this is what we're going to put towards it as a city, and sponsorships make the show bigger. You know, maybe this is what we're putting in every year. You get more sponsorships, and then we have a bigger show. I know the prices go up every year, but I think it's important to look for those sponsorships and So I would be more apt to having an amount that is fixed.
Sounds,
Maybe revisiting it every year.
City Manager, how much did we pay for fireworks this last year? What was the total amount for the fireworks?
25,500. So, we inherited, I mean, we could have more conversations with the third-party vendor, but essentially they offer two different show options to the chamber. That's usually what they do, sort of an A show and a B show. We selected the A show, which is the larger, more fireworks, bigger grand finale. I'm sure they have varying levels of shows, but I think the two prices were, they were probably, if I remember correctly, like a difference of like $3,000 or $4,000 between the A show and the B show. So 25.5 was this year's number. That's what we paid.
How would council feel about if not knowing percent yet, give him the authority to spend up to 30,000 on that as a set amount for this year? What are your thoughts on?
Including the 6 that was profit?
No, I would say our total check to the third party vendor should be less than 30,000, and then put that 7,000 that we received last year into that amount. So we would really be only paying 23 up to 23. What's council's thoughts on that? Obviously get it to where it's about what it was last year, but just not knowing the cost ahead of time, and so we don't have to revisit it. What are your thoughts?
So you're saying up to that amount?
Yes, up to that amount.
Yeah.
If it's 25.5 again next year, that's all we would pay. But that would prevent us from having to come back in May.
This would just
Offset that.
Right. And there's going to be a lot of like logistics as far as if we get a $10,000 sponsor, who's that money going to go towards? And I kind of want to put the responsibility on the city manager, like with the primary focus of us retaining as much money as we can, but making it equitable. I'm comfortable with him having that level of authority.
Right. I can see that. I almost thought about like a matching type of scenario too. If they raise 15,000, we throw in 15,000. But your way sounds, it sounds reasonable too. So, I could go along.
And I like I think Dave, you're right. Specifically regarding it being theirs this year makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Non-competitive. I would say year by year we can probably evaluate that.
Sure.
But I'm comfortable tonight. I guess we're all making an assumption. Would you want it next year?
Yes, if given the opportunity, we'll do it again.
We were going to make you do it anyway. So, does that sound like a will of the council?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for clear staff direction, you guys correct me if I'm wrong. Up to $30,000. Partnering with the Seawolves. Correct. This is the motion that I'm making. We can spend up to $30,000 partnering with the Seawolves, giving the city manager the authority to execute that agreement in a way that he sees fit. Then bringing it back to council after this year for a year by year evaluation. Does that make sense? Am I missing something with that?
I just want to make sure that staff is still looking for sponsorships.
Yeah, thank you for that. I was going to clarify. So we're okay, I guess, with the potential for a large sponsor to come in and have naming rights.
Absolutely.
Potentially.
Yes.
Okay. Because I don't know that that's been the case previously, when the chamber had it. And so that would be a shift. And so I don't, if we go that route. So I just want to make sure that we're comfortable with, I don't know what that structure looks like yet, but something along the lines of getting, perhaps a large sponsor and then, the other ones being donations or being on the marketing or something like that.
Yeah, I'm really, I trust you in that arena. I trust the Seawolves in that arena to do what's right with that. With that being said, I guess I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. You opposed? We look forward to working with you again.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next up, we have the Safe Route to School project consideration staff report by Will Washburn. Welcome, Will.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff. I'm here to present to you the Measure C Safe Routes to School allocation, support transportation projects serving primary and secondary schools and accessing public school facilities, enhancing the safety of children walking and biking to school, prioritizing schools with significant safety concerns or risk to children bicycling or walking to school based on crash data, traffic analysis, or traffic behavior around primary and secondary schools, and supporting disadvantaged and low-income communities with fewer transportation safety options and to ensure all children have access to safe routes to school. The safety committee met, and there were two specific locations for schools with rectangular rapid flashing beacons, similar to what you see on Sierra Street. One of them was in front of Rayford Johnson. There were two locations in front of that. I don't know if you have that map up or not. And then secondarily, there was one in front of, near Reagan Elementary on Lindquist. Additionally, there were some school zone signage and striping upgrades for Kingsburg High School, Rayford Johnson, Reagan Elementary, Lincoln, and Washington. The recommended action is to approve Resolution 2025-042, authorizing staff to submit a Safe Routes to School grant application for staff recommended projects. And the deadline was just increased to September 12th. So originally that was a deadline in August. And so that's why we were bringing it to you, but we just got word this like Monday, right?
Yeah, so the original deadline was September 12th. They extended it to October 14th.
October 4th.
Yeah,
Sorry,
October 14th.
My fault. Yeah. I'm here to take any questions.
Awesome. Any questions or comments from council?
Was there any conversations with the schools in our town to see what they thought we needed?
Yes, I can speak to that from the COG perspective. They did. They reached out. They reached out to school districts. I don't know specifically. I don't think the engineering firm, you guys don't reach out, do you?
As part of the traffic safety committee, we did not have anybody from the school district attend. We did have members from the police department, Jose Salinas and Alfred Fuentes contribute. Like I said, I think they kind of guided a little bit of especially the signage upgrades and the striping signage that they'd like to see, because there is some signage that's been up for quite a while that definitely needs some upgrades. And so that was part of their input that they provided that said, hey, that would be helpful in both traffic enforcement and also in the safety of the project. So,
Mr. Mayor, in fact, just to comment on what Mayor Purcell mentioned. So this is actually, Safe Routes to School is a much larger, it's usually funding that comes federally. But what happens is that it becomes a very cumbersome application process. And so oftentimes communities don't apply because there's a significant amount of outreach that has to occur. And then often, you're not successful. So there was conversation within Fresno Council of Governments. And so some of the funding as part of Measure C is actually going to fund this version of what is sort of our local version of Safe Routes to School. And so as part of that process, before they opened this call for applications, Fresno Council of Government staff reached out to all the individual school districts within the county and got their feedback on areas of issue. We talked about it internally, the Traffic Safety Committee talked about it. So we have met with school staff on different projects before. So we obviously have the roundabout that is going over by Lincoln School. We have a recently approved project that is near Roosevelt School. We just completed the RRFB project a year or so ago in front of the high school. So kind of the three that we don't really have additional enhancements at currently are Washington, Rayford, and Reagan. We talked a little bit internally about the fact that older children are utilizing the facilities more around Athwal and Rayford. And so even though there might be improvements that we can look at Washington, those children are often accompanied by parents. And so sort of our higher priorities at this time in terms of pedestrian safety was to look at these two locations. And I think that was confirmed by the police department because Freddie, who's out on a motorcycle a fair amount, sees a lot of, the pedestrian traffic. So it's a good question though. And we will, certainly if we're successful on the application, there will be, we always coordinate with the school at that point, and so that we can work through sort of those specific improvements.
I was asking because when it was brought up at COG, I was at 2 of those meetings. And when they did reach out to both of our in-town districts, they had said that it would be matching funds, which is not accurate. And so both districts didn't respond. So I just wondered if they reached back out and clarified that.
I can find out from COG. I know that the last that I saw, they had basically a general checklist of all the school districts in the county that said, have they responded, have they not? And I think my recollection is that Kingsburg had responded. They might have responded, we're not willing to participate because it was matching at that time. But I think a lot of that feedback is what changed the COG's mind in trying to take some of the Measure C dollars, the local Measure C funds, and craft this specific Safe Routes to School application.
I'm glad you brought that up. So that came up when I think at the time Mayor Ashbeck was kind of heading this. That was brought up. I think it was originally brought up by you. And they had circled back at one point and said that they did clarify that. I don't know if that was just a clarification via email, but I know they did send some sort of a clarifying notice of that. I don't know what the response was after that. But I'm glad you brought that up. That's important. Council questions, comments? Open it up to the public. Do we have anybody from the public that would like to comment on this? Okay, if not, we'll bring it back to council for any further discussion or motions to approve resolution.
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2025-042.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Thank you. Next, under future agenda items, we have none, and we will move to the city manager's report.
One more regular item.
I'm sorry. Let me just skip you. Quarter 1 and quarter 2, 2025 code enforcement update. Presentation by building official AJ O'Connell. Welcome, AJ.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. AJ O'Connell, building official. It is my pleasure to present to you the code enforcement update for the first 6 months of the calendar year 2025. As has become our biannual practice, the city staff is providing this update to the council on the efforts and activities of code enforcement officers, the data regarding the number and types of cases that were generated, and to relay certain observations from the field by our inspectors. The first 2 quarters of calendar year 2025 saw continued robust and active code enforcement efforts within the community. Through both proactive and reactive collaborations with property owners, tenants, business owners, and concerned citizens, our code officers continue being a sustaining dynamic presence within our city. Before diving deep into the data contained within your staff report, I must lead off with a sincere measure of gratitude to the people of Kingsburg. A whopping 86% of the cases that were opened within the first 6 months of 2025 have already been closed. While this number may be eye-popping to some, it is of no surprise to us here in the Code Enforcement Division. This percentage shows that this city is committed to the principles of neighborhood improvement and cohesive vitality. When a community is engaged and understands the importance of code enforcement, there is a correlation to a higher quality of life. Speaking anecdotally, our community embraces these values, and I am grateful for the cooperation and support of the community. My presentation tonight will be primarily based on comparing data from quarter 1, quarter 2, 2024 to quarter 1, quarter 2, 2025. This comparison-based model provides an adequate means to determine the effectiveness of our code enforcement efforts in the community. 390 separate code cases were generated in 2025, which is a 16% increase from the same period in 2024. Of those cases generated, code enforcement staff engendered 78% of them through proactive inspections in the community. In 2024, this was 70%. 2025 saw an overall drop in the percentage of reactive or complaint-based cases generated. The overall gross number of reactive cases were 15% lower in 2025 than they were in 2024. More than 32% of the cases that were generated were related to general property maintenance violation. This classification can encompass multiple individual violations on a property, but also includes weed abatement efforts on vacant lots. The number of cases in this classification saw an 8% increase year to year. The second highest case generation was for water usage violations at slightly less than 1/5 of the cases generated. An example of this property maintenance classification can be seen on page 5 of the attached data and pictures in your packet. Can you go down just a little bit, Abby? A little bit more. Keep going. Keep going. And get on the next page. There we go. This particular case was generated via a proactive inspection. In these photos, you can see excessive weed growth in the front yard, on the mow strip, and along the fence facing the alley. If you want to go down just a little bit further. You can also see nuisance rubbish accumulation along that same fence line facing the alley. The tenant of the household was made aware of these violations through what we call a knock and talk. This is essentially an opportunity for us to communicate with whoever is living on the property to be able to educate them on the issues that inspectors see. The tenant who was at the property resolved to voluntarily abate those identified nuisances. I do wish to note that this particular case, city staff worked with the tenant and the property owner to reasonably adjust compliance dates and accept a phased abatement of the violations. The responsible tenant expressed that she was a mother of small children and was required to balance their needs with the effort in addressing the violations around the property. Not only should we consider this case a success story of code compliance, but also as a success story of providing a customer service-based enforcement model. 71% of the cases in 2025 resulted in a final disposition of a courtesy notice being issued by code officers. This type of notice is intended to educate property owners of violations. Notices of violations or a formal declaration of a public nuisance represented just shy of 21% of the case dispositions. This percentage also represents the number of administrative citations issued for violations, with the total amount being assessed of $10,625. I do want to emphasize that this amount assessed was not collected due to the offending properties coming into compliance voluntarily through cooperative efforts with city staff. This data can only be collected through on-site inspections by our code officers. This includes initial, posting, and follow-up inspections. Working together, our part-time neighborhood improvement officer and I conducted a total of 926 site inspections. In 2024, this number was 899. It was an increase of more than 3%. However, our community outreach was not just limited to inspections. In February, code enforcement staff participated in the Fresno County point in time count in partnership with the Fresno Madera Continuum of Care. We joined hundreds of volunteers from across the two counties to go out into the community on 2 separate nights to get an accurate count of the homeless within our community. In the coming months, the council can expect to review a proposal from the Code Enforcement Division to update our property maintenance code, which is the basis of our code enforcement efforts. Currently, the city is enforcing provisions from the 2021 International Property Maintenance Code. The proposal will be for the adoption of the 2024 International Property Maintenance Code. This update will ensure the resiliency of our enforcement efforts. And this concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, AJ. Councilor comments?
Just a quick question, AJ. Do you find that code enforcement is more difficult with, say, renters than actual property owners, or is that a challenge or not?
I can say that the challenge is when you have property owners that are essentially absentee or AWOL, which unfortunately we're starting to see more and more of, because property owners now are starting to be more of an investment groups, and LLCs are not dealing necessarily with one particular person. And oftentimes, tenants, they don't have the same sort of affinity for the properties that general property owners, general homeowners do. That's obviously a very broad strokes comparison. For example, the individual that I referenced, she was a renter. And she was very, very easy to work with. She, understood what was going on the property. She had other things going on in her life, and we were able to work with her, and it was very enjoyable and pretty easy. That's why I included it, as an example. But we're starting to see a little bit more of the investment groups that are having multiple properties, owning multiple properties, and they may be based out of state, they may be based out of the country. Ultimately, the responsibility for maintaining properties falls with the property owners. Well, if you can't get a hold of them, you can't let them know about the issues. That's when you start to run into those problems. You try and work with the tenants. Sometimes they don't really care.
Yeah. Okay. So in the 2024 international, what'd you call it? The new adoption of the international code?
The property maintenance code.
Property maintenance code. Is there a provision in there that would help us with that if we foresee that is becoming an issue or more of an issue? Is there a provision in there that will help?
The provision for responsibility, it kind of depends on what the violation would be. So for example, if there is a trash and rubbish violation that is cited, our property maintenance code, and it's actually currently in our adopted 2021 code, it does state that if there's trash and rubbish that are within the direct control of the tenant, then they are responsible for it. If it's something that may be a little bit further afield, maybe like larger scale, like trees that aren't being maintained, or like fences that may be maintained, a little bit more of a larger property maintenance issue, then that would fall onto the property owner. Unfortunately, when we're looking at what is within the tenant's control, oftentimes that is violations that aren't readily visible from, say, the street or the sidewalk. The only way we'd be able to cite that would be through actually going within, either the house or within the backyard, to make those determinations and to cite those violations.
Okay. Well, the only last thing I had was a thank you to you and Dana and Holly.
You said that sometimes you can't get a hold of the property owners. So if the tenant doesn't, like I said, doesn't care, how do you remedy that? Have you ran into that, AJ? Have you ran into that? Where you can't get, they don't get back to you for like months, or not at all?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really my place to discuss individual cases, but to answer your question, currently right now we have non-compliance on a vacant lot right now. Weeds are overgrown. We've had to cite the owner because people have been parking on the lots. Wrecked cars have been dumped there. I've had one conversation with the owner, said, hey, look, these are the issues. This is what we see. We issued a notice of violation. We just declared a public nuisance, just sent them a letter, outlined our violations. They went AWOL. Haven't heard from them at all. Currently, right now, we are citing them $500 a day.
Right.
And they are responsible for 4 adjacent vacant lots. Each one of the lots is being cited $500 a day. So we will continue doing that. And, if we have to move forward with an abatement, we may have to.
Yeah. Final step, yeah.
However, in that particular case, I guess the incentive is that our municipal code does allow for us to lien the property. We've done that before here within the city, and that's a pretty big lien to put onto the property. Now, we will obviously, if the property owner gets wise and decides to come and work with us, we're not going to go and put a $20,000 lien if they feel we want to get people to voluntarily comply. But if that property owner decides they want to sell, they want to choose to develop it, that's a debt to the city that is going to have to be repaid. And that's specified in our municipal code.
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate all you've done the last since you've been here. It's been 3-4 years now?
Just over 3 years.
3 years, yeah. Because every time I've had issues with people in my district, right in my district, calling me, and I'll give you a call or call Alex. It's done pretty quick. So keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
We'll open it up to public comment. Do we have anybody from the public that would like to speak to this? If not, we'll bring it back to council. The only comment I have is, AJ, you're a unique guy. You really are. We appreciate it. I say that with all sincerity, and I think that it takes a very unique type of person to be able to do what you do, and you fit the mold perfectly. So we appreciate that. I want you to know that you and everyone you work with has a lot of support from council. So thank you very much for what you do.
Thank you.
I believe this is informational only. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so if I'm reading this right this time, under future agenda items, we have none. So we'll move to the city manager's report.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, just a couple of brief items. A reminder that beginning tonight at 10 p.m., parking on Draper Street will be restricted until tomorrow at 10 p.m. and soil seal work will begin early tomorrow morning, and city engineer Dave Peters will be on site tomorrow during the repair work with Don Barry, as well as Public Works Director Daniel Galvez, and then just a reminder that on the 20th we will hear our presentation from BBK, which is the law firm that we retain to assist us with the Measure C, or excuse me, the Measure E extension effort. So that will be on our next meeting in 2 weeks. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll move to council member reports. Councilmember Silva.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Purcell. Economic Development Committee has not met, but as most of you have seen, the business park Kingsburg sign has had it's remodeled and painted and refurbished, and it looks amazing. There is one panel. There's Cheyenne's that's there. There's T-Mobile and Valley Health Team with the urgent care. They have their signs up. There is one vacant panel, so I had people ask me about that. That's intended to be a Starbucks panel, but it's going through Starbucks corporate, and so hopefully we'll have their panel up shortly. If not, then we'll have to farm that out to someone else. But I think we'll have plenty of people that are interested in that panel because that sign looks amazing. Also, the Swedish Mill, I get questions on that. Swedish Mill is progressing. The owner did take a extended vacation like most people in the summertime, and so they're getting back to doing some work there at the Swedish Mill. Their permit is going to expire, so I know that staff is working with the Swedish Mill to get that going again, so that's great news. Strategic Industries in the business park has been completed, and they're up and running. That business is business most. I didn't know, but maybe if you didn't know, it's a federal government contractor. So they do work for the federal government. And so that building is a nice building over there in the business park. And the business park is, becoming more and more robust every year as we go along. So that's good news. The collective, when it comes to Draper, the collective moved into the Mercantile. So some people may notice that the collective is not there by the wine room, and so they've moved. There is plans for the wine room, so they're going to put an additional tenant in there, which remains to be seen which one goes in there. But they are working on something, so that's good news as well. When it comes to the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control Committee, they have not met. The South Kings GSA does meet on the 13th, which is Wednesday in Parlier at 5:30. And the Kingsburg Healthcare District also meets Wednesday the 13th at 4 o'clock here in Chamber. So I have a conflict. I don't know if I can finish in an hour, get all the way over to Parlier. So I may be asking for someone to help me cover that. Laura. Councilmember North. So anyway, I did want to just make a couple other. I made a couple other notes here. I attended several of the farmers markets this year, and they were amazing. The weather was great. Just good food, good people, good times. So I want to thank Chamber for the farmers markets, putting those on. And then I also attended the Kingsburg Little League tournament that was going on here. The Kingsburg, I believe it was the
Regional.
yeah, it was the regionals, and there was a couple teams from Hawaii, and Kingsburg ended up making it to the quarterfinals, but they lost to, I believe it was Tulare, if I remember right. But it was a good game, and the weather was amazing. A lot of people there, just a great atmosphere. Baseball in the summertime, you almost can't go wrong with that. Young kids running around playing hot dogs, all the good stuff. So it was a good event, or good tournament, and just wanted to give the baseball players a little shout out there. So with that concludes my report. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember North.
Bid met yesterday, and the biggest thing to report out is they are still down a member. So the business improvement district is the downtown corridor, so they're looking for another member. So if you have any ideas, maybe check with Abby and we can get them an application. It's been vacant for a couple months now. The next meeting will be on September 2nd here in council chambers at 8 o'clock. Chamber of Commerce meeting is next Tuesday. I don't have the time listed. I believe it's 5. It's in the evening at the Chamber of Commerce. And that's all I have.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Public Safety Committee, we are scheduled to meet August 12th. Planning Commission, we're scheduled to meet August 14th. And SKF, we're scheduled to meet August 21st. So I haven't got a lot of meetings coming up this month. I'll have a better report next month or next meeting. And then I just wanted to comment on the new signs at the parks. Those look very, very nice. So I don't know if you guys have seen them yet, but those signs are very nice. So thanks for doing that for Kingsburg. And then also on the regional, I spoke to one of the board members from the Little League Regional, and he said that the team from Hawaii pretty much sold out the Marriott, and that was good for Kingsburg. And then they went to Casaro's one night and just filled that place. And, it's pretty much, ordered like 30 pieces or 30 or 40 pieces, I heard. And then also they went to Bento to Go, and Warren actually closed the restaurant because Hawaii had so many people here. So he closed it down for them, and they, had a great meal there at Bento to Go. And then I guess Hawaii won the whole thing. They won the regional. And on the championship game, I heard Warren, the board member told me that Warren went down there with a special dish for all the Hawaii people. So they were real thankful for that. And they wanted to, the board member wanted me to say tonight in council that the Hawaii team really loved Kingsburg very much, the town and all the hospitality. So that's a good thing. Yeah. That's all I have.
Great. Thank you. For me, we had Council of Governments last week. The big thing with Council of Governments is Measure C, that measure upcoming. There's a lot going on with the steering committees, direction committees, lots of things going on. If I'm being transparent, there's a lot of drama associated with it right now. We're trying to sort out. I think we're going to get through it, but really the important thing is to pay attention to it when it comes out. And we're hoping within the next month and a half to have percentage allocations. What that means is, the Measure C is billions of dollars that we oversee, and the percentages that we allocate of that money is important. That's what funds Safe Route to Schools. That's what funds a lot of our roadways here. So the allocations are what's going to make or break that measure for me. So I anticipate reporting back on that, hopefully with some good news. So everyone here knows the big things that I fight for in those meetings are to make sure that Kingsburg gets the accurate percentage that we deserve. We do deal with the entire county, and there's a lot of marginalized communities that have a lot worse roads than we do. And although we need to make those communities priorities also, it should be equitable for all cities. That's what we fight. That's my biggest fight there. So we're looking for those allocations and to allow us to have local control of our dollars. So, Kingsburg is a unique town. We're a very unique voice in that room. So we look forward to more conversation about that. For Fresno County Rural Transit, they are getting a new director. We have appointed Janelle Del Campo. I've been assigned to write her contract, her labor contract for her, so we're just about done with that. And other than that, last week, city manager and I met with Congressman Costa. He's in town, so he wanted to sit down and meet for a little bit. Good things coming from his office. I will say he's always been good to Kingsburg. He pushed through a lot of things for us in the past, and he pushed through a lot of things for us this year. And the current climate in DC is they're shutting down all allocations. So almost everything for Kingsburg got shut down. We are happy to report that we are still in the running through kind of a different department for $1 million. And that's what we met with him. Things are still looking good for us to get that $1 million for our potential city hall build out, which is great. We're making tentative plans. I'll be going back there to meet with him and some other members probably in November too. So other than that, I have nothing else to report. Do we have any other items from staff, council, public? Okay, seeing none, we will adjourn tonight's meeting. Thank you.